Greetings and salutations everyone, I'm Mac. This is Let's Play Limbus Company Murder on the Warp Express. In the last episode we got our hands on enough rewards exchange to see what this new Heathcliff is going to be like. Pretty laid back is the answer. So let's just do some checking out of the new identity. Consume 5 charge count to gain 1 coin power, and gain 2 charge count on hit. At 5 to 9 charge count, consume 2 10 minus current charge count percent HP to raise charge count to 10. Consume 10 charge count to gain coin power. Inflict photoelectricity equal to charge, and then just gain charge count. If we uptie that, it increases his max speed by 1. He gains 2 charge count on both of his hits on his skill 1, so much easier to get to that 5 to 10 range. And over here, if this unit can consume charge, inflict 2 defense level down, inflict 1 HP level down, and photoelectricity equal to charge maximum of 3. It also gives him his combat passive, gain 1 charge every time this unit consumes 10 cumulative charge count in this encounter. At 2 plus charge, gain haste next turn. And we have just enough thread to get him to the tier 3, so he gains 1 max and minimum speed, that's nice. His skill 3 is unlocked. At 2 charge, coin power plus 1, gain 5 charge count, gain charge times 3 charge count to a maximum of 9, inflict photoelectricity equal to charge, max 3. Increase the base power of his skill 1, base power of his skill 2. Support passive. The first deployed ally gains a maximum charge count plus 5, so... you could actually add up quite a bit of charge count, couldn't you?
뭐야? 이 자식 바람 꿈은 몇 개 생겼다고 벌써 저 세상으로 가버렸는데?
Heathcliff! It is one peaceful afternoon. The child slowly turns his head to the side at the voice calling his name. He's been staring blankly at the ceiling for a while. Heathcliff, come on! Are you planning to zone out for the rest of the day too? It's lunch already. It's only lunch. Bloody hell, mate, what a slow day. The office fills with amused laughter as the child begins pulling his hair with all 4 of his hands. Maybe the laughter made the child feel a bit self-conscious. He quickly attempted to change the subject. So what is it? Why'd you call me? We're going out for lunch at Ham Ham Peng Peng just round the corner. Are you coming with? Nah, I ain't going. Enjoy your lunches, lads. Huh? Really? I thought you loved fish and chips. Their new seasonal menu. I've seen you go for that every lunch for a while. I ain't hungry. Oh, don't tell me. Did you replace your digestive tract with a prosthetic too? Ugh, I could never bring myself to do that. Wait, that ain't it either, yeah? He raises his voice in a burst of frustration before dousing it with a heavy sigh. I've a lot on my mind today, that's all. Well then, give us a call if you change your mind. I don't mind picking one up to go for you. The co-worker has left the building, leaving the child all on his own. Ham Ham Peng Peng is actually a real store run by Project Moon to give out a lot of merch, but it is actually a food restaurant. That would explain why Library of Ruinet goes on and on about Ham Ham Peng Peng. With no one left inside the building other than the child himself, the room was completely silent, save for the sound of ticking clock hands. No noise of tapping on typewriters, calculators, or even pens scratching against the paper. Now ain't that a bother. Maybe I should have left my eardrums intact. He absent-mindedly rubbed his ears, which had been recently replaced with a prosthetic. Then he went back to staring blankly at the ceiling. The child's been having funny thoughts as of late. It ain't there anymore. The fun of battle, it's gone. Violence was an old friend of the child, ever since his backstreet days. But it never felt this dull. A good singular strike used to make him laugh with exhilaration. Facing down a powerful enemy used to make his competitive spirit burn brightly, even as he grumbled. Of course, when he cooled from the heat of the battle, he'd go back to his usual self, thinking things that an average person might think, not wanting to go so far as to kill someone, for example, or maybe that he might have gone a punch too far. But he's been getting less and less of those thoughts as of late. The same was true for the day he participated in a contract expedition. "You crazy son of a... You almost lost your arm there!" "Yeah, whatever, mate. I'll just replace it if that happens. Boss lady's got dozens of backup arms at the ready." You must have lost your mind." The child was, as per the terms of the contract, battling a syndicate of the back streets. Some among them were using prosthetics as well, but most of them had them installed at workshops of dodgy quality, and there weren't that many of them anyway. Most syndicate henchmen reacted with the same horror as they faced the child. Attacks that other fixers would back away from, the kind of sweeping attacks that would help make room for them to momentarily regroup. "You daft, keep stabbing at my arm and you won't ever hit my circuitry where it matters." None of them even fazed the child. Instead, he gladly took the hit and continued to advance closer towards his enemies. A destroyed arm, a punctured shoulder, none of that was critical. He could simply replace them within minutes. The child, a fixer with prosthetics, did not care no matter how much damage he took, as long as he had enough cash. The battle was easy, of course, but the child was bored. Even after a grueling battle, all he could think was, "Oh, we won." Even as he stabbed his enemies forcefully with his spear, all he could think was, "Oh, there he goes." The fact that none of the violence inspired anything other than the simplest, most surface-level observations was mind-numbingly boring to him. "Still zoning out, Heathcliff?" The child snapped out of his dry reminiscence of the expedition when his co-worker called over to him. The child was about to thank his co-worker for so kindly bringing him a sandwich, but he looked down, noticing that his co-worker, wildly swinging all four of his arms, were pointing at the table. He'd spilled his cup of coffee all over the table, drenching the report he'd spent the morning writing. Did I spill that? "Who else, man?" "How should I know? I don't feel heat." "Okay, but isn't that report due today? How are you so okay with losing your entire morning's work?" "Crackin'. More things to waste my afternoon on." But the child's face was contorted into a frown. Seeing that, the co-worker quickly pushed the child away from the desk, swiftly cleaned up any surviving documents, removed the cup, and wiped down the table. All the task was rather quickly and competently done, once all four arms of the co-worker got to work, and only when the table was squeaky clean did he return to his seat. The child watched all of it in flabbergasted silence, let out a hollow chuckle, then leaned back in his chair. Maybe I should quit. An utterance full of emptiness. He's been spending days upon days sitting in the office, save the days when they'd go work on a contract. He'd only planned to work here for a little while before quitting, but he's been unable to bring himself to get to the last part of this plan. Where else would I work or go? What a bother. The MultiCrack office, which was composed only of fixers with prosthetics, was a comfortable space for the child. Spilling hot coffee at someone was no big deal here. He could also hold conversations about replacing his arms and legs without making things awkward. Maybe it was that sense of camaraderie within this group that made him feel awkward every time he left the premises of the building. Grabbing piping hot items without hesitation, walking for hours upon hours without ever getting tired. It was those little things, those minor details, that have been making the child feel a sense of alienation ever since he replaced most of his body with prosthetic parts. Well, I suppose I ain't going anywhere without my family. Wonder if we'll pick up any interesting contracts today. Waiting and waiting for a small pebble to make the tiniest ripple in his tedious, uneventful life. The child looked back up at the ever-so-familiar ceiling. Days rolling, clicking by like cogs in a machine. The child was merely growing used to that kind of life, the life in the city. Cybernetics eat your soul. I don't think I really feel like catching him out, but I'll look at his Uptie 4, so gain 2 coin power with 10 charge on his skill 2. If this unit consumes charge, inflict 2 defense level down on his skill 1 as well, so that's actually a lot of defense level down. That'll be nice. 2 healing down, the photoelectricity charges stay the same. Coin power +1 for every 2 charge on self, to a maximum of 2. What's it at the moment? Just coin power for 1, but it's based on charge, so it might be tricky to get off. Gain 7 charge count, gain charge times 3 charge count, inflict photoelectricity equal to charge, inflict blunt fragility for every charge, to a maximum of 2. Blunt fragility being something rather uncommon. His guard skill gets really nicely upgraded, coin and base power up, 2 times per turn of gaining charge count, and upgrade his combat passive. Gain 1 charge every time he consumes 10 cumulative charge count. At 2+ charge, gain 1 haste. At 3+ charge, gain additional haste and clash power up. It would be kinda dangerous to use teleport on him because that eats all your charge count when you get the corroded version. Weak to PS, resistant to blunt. Okay. Another thing I might have a look at. Not quite. We're going to have to do a little bit of mirror dungeon grinding if we want to get the Utis ego. Although we could get a few random crates and just see what they have inside. You never know. Not very much Utis. Okay, this time for sure. We're going straight to the stages. Prosthetic fixes. Clear within 10 turns. We have 4 slots to deal with. Effective affinities are Blunt and Envy, which fortunately is what this team is set for. 40, 80, 100, 120, 140. The goal is 120%. You can't get more than that. I'm noticing that Ryoshu does struggle a bit. Her base skill is just not good for these situations. Like that. But that said, if this person flips tails any time, then she will win. Favored, favored, favored. Punch it. Honestly, let's just save it up, so we'll go gain 2 charge count or gain 2 charge count and block the attack. Ooh, that's kind of not a good thing to be hit by. Bloodbag Prosthetic Fixer. At less than 5 charge count, gain attack power down. At 5+ charge count, gain 2 clash power. Ooh, that's not nice. And no wonder we're struggling to clash it. It's the best attack. Okay, just swap over to Rip Dimension, because clearly we need it. Some clashes were lost. There is a reason why Ryoshu is in the first slot still. It's because she gives us lust, and we probably do need lust for our skills. But all that said, we're at least likely to get... We're guaranteed to get assist attack here. Hang on, they've started picking up slash resist. Okay, the usual enemies just have a lust resistance, but the more advanced ones, the blood bag agents and prosthetic fixers, actually have physical resistances. That's pretty important to know, I'd think. Actually, wait. This will cause at least 2 staggers, which means we're going to get some healing. Mind you, only 2 staggers because you have too many slots for us to overflow past, but yeah, live and learn. Not the best odds, but you're pretty resistant to attack, so you should be fine.
필살의 집념이 담겨있지. 기세가 수그러지는 걸. 저놈을 추적해. 내가 눈에 새겨주지. 맘.
가까워진다. 항해.
제압 완료. 승객 보건 준비.
What was I just thinking?
다시 묶어줄까? 철방 매듭.
Nah. Gain attack power up if we kill someone with Slash or Envy. It might be a bit tricky to guarantee rolling those though.
저놈을 이렇게 승객 무력 확인. 이 작살엔 필살의 집념이 담겨있지. 승객 무력 확인. 정신 차리게. 장부에 따르면 정신 차리게. 장부에 따르면 맨정신에 죽여야 하니까.
Alright, final turn, so just do whatever.
내가 눈에 새겨주지.
기름도 나오지 않는 놈이구려.
잘했군. 한 저놈을 추적해. 맘.
Something caught my attention from the corner of my eye after another round of brutal combat. Huh? What's this now? We were on the final car adjacent to the freight car when we discovered that odd box with the T-Core logo on it. Ah, 'tis the emblem of T-Core! It appears it was broken in the fierceness of our battle. Didn't that chief executive guy, Hubert, right? Didn't he offhandedly mention something about partnering with other wings? I guess they were in cahoots with W-Core too. Such collaborations are not limited to T-Core. It is often the case that a wing may work with another. It is only on rare occasions that they urgently request the assistance of less significant, lesser-known corporations such as our own Limbus company. Their choice too appears to be quite irregular. Sounds like W-Core's heydays are long behind them. Just like this wall that's fallen apart, revealing what's behind. Oh, speaking of falling apart, this room sure got messed up, huh? It was difficult for me to ignore how Herodia hurriedly swerved to a different subject, as though she'd made a mistake. Even the tone of her voice shifted like she was catching herself. The various destroyed prosthetic parts covered in human remains indicate that this train car was boarded by several prosthetic-equipped fixers. I can't think about that right now. Let's deal with the task at hand first. Maybe these people are from the same office as that guy we met at the platform. Remember? He said he was warped over to T-Court on an expedition. Look, it's almost like they're all wearing standardized sets of prosthetics. Same make, same model, everything. I believe I have read articles stating that certain officers do exclusively hire fixers with prosthetics. Huh? Wait, We were walking through the bloodied train car when we suddenly heard Sinclair's voice crack as though he saw something awful. Fi! He's the one we encountered at the platform! This is the fixer who suddenly started venting at us. Yeah, he said something about going to T-Core on an expedition and failing. They brought a whole train car full of fixers for this contract. I guess calling it an expedition was no exaggeration. There are over a dozen broken arms strewn about. They must have fought valiantly by replacing their broken arms with backup arms, perchance. A strategy indeed. Makes sense. That would explain all those broken prosthetic arms and legs in this car. Executive Manager. This is likely an aftermath of a battle between the Fixers and the Blood Bags. There were many similar cases during the war. Those using prosthetics would simply let their bodies be destroyed in battle because they considered them to be disposable as long as there was cash remaining in their wallets. Of course, the blatant lack of self-preservation often led them to early graves. Maybe that's true. I see. There are more than a single possible interpretation of the same scene. I will remember both of your inputs. That's a good attitude. Employees with attitudes like yours often make it to the end of the war. Yes, well, good for them. Faust answers Utis in an uncharacteristically snappy manner. Signs of fatigue were creeping into her pensive expression. You alright, Faust? It was rare to see any actual expression from her. I was starting to get worried. I am physically unharmed yet. Yes, I am alright. However, I do not enjoy this circumstance which we find ourselves in. It is as though I am casting nets to nowhere, while lost and isolated in a blind sea. I could usually complete these deductions within moments after establishing a few basic cross-references between the accessible information. Her voice was such a whisper for the second part of her sentence that even I could barely hear what she was saying. I know what you mean. Feeling like you're completely lost, obsessively casting net after net over the black rippler's lake, in desperate hopes that one of them might pull in something we could eat. No way to tell where we are, no way to tell if there's anything to eat under that glassy water surface. Grasping at the straws, you know? This sense I find mired in is not unlike your own. It is like lying my back over an unseen grave, for the reflection of radiance upon my eyes and the sanguine scent hanging from the tip of my olfactory tells me of not the forging path. It seemed that the first part of the sentence was well heard by Ishmael and Yisang. However, they walked up to her and shared a few words of consolation. By the way, I don't ever recall you talking like that, Faust. I don't know what it is, but you feel different from your usual self somehow. Everyone can tell. That is... Oh, I mean, I don't hate it. I'm actually kind of glad to learn that you had a softer side. As opposed to the time where she said, let's go help out with the chicken epidemic where you wanted to clock her on the head with your mace. This unseen side of yours, it is unfamiliar yet quite fresh. Is that so? Faust's reply was curt. She closed her eyes. As per the information provided by the pamphlet at the platform, it is likely that this train is composed of 12 passenger cars and 1 freight car. Because we are on the 11th car at the moment, that leaves a single car between us and the freight car in which Mephistopheles is secured. Which means that there is a high likelihood that we will soon encounter the blood fiend responsible for the creation of the blood bags aboard this train. Just beyond that door. Well, how strong could it be if its fodders are this weak? There were so many of them, but we practically smashed through their entire horde. A different, more accurate interpretation would be to say that a being capable of commanding a force as large as the blood bags we have defeated should be considered a high-risk entity. Although this is not common knowledge, there is a subcategory of fixers called Blood Fiend Hunters who specialize in, yes, hunting Blood Fiends? Assuming that information is true, it can be inferred that Blood Fiends are difficult foes that require a certain expertise to defeat. Now that I'm thinking about it, if Bloodbags are like mindless thralls to Blood Fiends, then they're kind of like their private army, right? A being of power who can create a force of their own without concern for lowered morale or desertion. Wartime or not, they will always make for formidable foes. The Sinners each exchange various opinions with one another, possible strategies, estimations of the Blood Fiend's strength, and all of a sudden, "Fie on this indecisive idleness! Our quest is to defeat the villain who hath brought such pain and misery upon this train, is it not? It may be vaporizing the lifeblood of the innocent as we speak. Mighty or feeble, I care not. I swear upon my own honour that I shall smite this foe, and let my hand of justice be the judge of their fate. Let us hasten now." Don Quixote's sudden outburst immediately put a stop to the chatter. She's not wrong. Besides, we have to deal with the Blood Fiend to complete our contract. With that, I opened the door leading to the final car of this train.
훌륭한 전시회였어. 이걸 오히려 고맙다고 말해야 하나?
Ooh, that looks like a very generous portion of antimatter. Okay, this would be... I think... Yeah, this one's going to be a focused encounter, so be prepared for that one next time. Till then, take care. I'll see you all around. Oh, hello. I see your face.